and civilization don't live side by side.
So how do you divorce yourself from the fact that this happening a year before a general election, where you've already established that the secret obviously now is in the numbers, because whatever you've promised to people before is unachievable, at least not now.
Yeah.
So you have to garner the numbers.
Yes.
How do you divorce what's happening with the buying and selling auction of IDs at the moment, because we don't even know the numbers that we're talking about. We can't clarify at this point whether it's 3 or 4 or 3,000. How do you divorce that, the criminality aspect, from the elections? Can they be two different things that are happening?
No, the moment,
unattached to each other?
Remember, our election is very clear. You go with an ID. With an ID, you register as a voter. So that is the avenue that is being used by this criminalization process. Because as soon as you give somebody an ID, that's it. But if it is a passport, if you go to Nyayo House and buy a passport, it's not a guarantee that you'll vote. So the primary document that turns you into a citizen and therefore the right to vote is that. Our passport doesn't allow. I voted for President Thabo Mbeki in South Africa in 2004. And I voted because in their law, if you have a green barcode, that is have a green barcode, and a green barcode is a special permit that you have, then you can vote. That's how liberal South Africans were, because that was meant for the whites. But us as blacks, whites who are migrating from Lithuania, from wherever, in those days of apartheid, you could go and vote, right? Now, they have not managed to remove it and basically go back to a system where you limit people from voting because they are not citizens. So as a Kenyan working in South Africa and living in South Africa, and I had a green barcode, I was allowed to vote. So I queued and voted for Mbeki. I did not vote because somebody, I bought the green barcode or did whatever. It was by law, because it is the way, if you've spent 2 years, you have a property there, they allow you to do that. Now, in Kenya, we are not there yet. Yes. So you cannot use a passport to vote. So the primary document that is behind this criminalization of our state, the assault on our sovereignty, and the abuse of our dignity as a people, is the ID. Why? Because our electoral law only recognizes the ID.
Yes.
So the criminality is revolving around the ID. I do know, long before President William Ruto's government came to power, when we had the power-sharing government, that's when the criminality of selling passports began. And efforts to broke that line has been difficult. And what has that meant? Countries where we just walked in, Italy, Germany, Britain. In Britain, you just go in and out because we have families that are Kenyans that are living in Britain, and we have British families that are living in Kenya. Therefore, we didn't have to have IDs. Or other passports. In order to go to, visas. Sorry.
Visas.
Visas in order to go to Britain. Now, we do have. And it's even strict because it has to be issued, I think, from South Africa, if I'm not wrong. And so you have to wait for a long time and all that. Even when you are on transit in the UK, they still require you to have a visa. Why? Because they have to protect their sovereignty. It's not that they want to restrict Kenyans. They want to protect their sovereignty by making it strict. Right? The same case, the Somalia. If you're moving from here to Somalia today, it is the most difficult visa to get. Now, because Somalia also wanted to protect its own ground from criminals and from people who are going to do funny business. They want to know who is going there.
But
right?
Prof,
yes.
Even as you talk of Somali and Kenyans being very difficult for us to get visas going there, we equally have to look at Somalia's responsibility in protecting its own sovereignty and its people.
Yes.
Because when a population is taken away from you as a leader of Somalia, it should be a concern.
Yes.
But perhaps maybe we've not heard that, but there is apparent silence from the people and the government in Somalia. And we have to read that as well with the politics that is going around, because Kenya is one of the countries that is pushing, that is really encouraging Somalia to join the EAC. So why, in terms of leadership from both ends, there is apparent silence when it comes to sovereignty of both countries?
No, the Somalis are clean. They are doing their clean business. It is our Kenyan elite who are doing it. And it is not for every Somalian.
Yeah.
I can tell you, I can swear every cow in my barn that the Marehans are not among the people who... Marehans is a major subclan of the Ogaden. They are on the border with Jubaland, with the Kenyan side. But they are not largely on this other side, because the British restricted them for their own reason to the Somali side. And they are also hostile to the Somalis on the Kenyan side. So they have their own historic differences. So the people who are buying these cards are largely the people who do the job. In other words, the new political mercenaries of our time are those who are kith and kin of Kenyan communities. Okay? The Abdallahs, the Abduak, the Faramarims people, Ajuran, Macabre, and so on. All these groups are the ones that are possibly able. And I'm not very serious whether we have Degodias from the other side who are the Hawiyes, who might be buying these ID cards. But also, remember, they are here on passports and working permits or business permits, many of them.
Okay.
So what you are finding is now efforts to issue identity cards. Most of those people are not there in Somalia.
So
they are already here doing business.
Okay.
And that's why I'm saying and warning that we are now at peace. We are encouraging investors to come from Somalia and elsewhere. Let us not get into the trap where Kenyan population begin to become xenophobic, like what we are seeing in South Africa. We've never had xenophobia in Kenya. We welcomed refugees